Hello plant friends, it's Carl again. Another video. Hey, this week I want to talk about a special kind of plants, and I'd like you to gaze upon my succulents. This will be a little show and tell about the succulents. We're going to start here in what I call my succulent nursery. This is a 4-foot by 4-foot box, and throughout the year I plant tons of succulents in here. The good thing is I always start with the smallest cuttings possible, or maybe I'll buy something super cheap. I'm talking the 99-cent succulents at the store, and then I grow them out here. It takes about 6 to 9 months, maybe a year, before I have something that I can put out in the landscape, in the front yard or in the backyard. Sometimes I fill pots with them. Right there, the centerpiece this time is a Cotyledon. Every time I try to make it look good, but these things move so much. I'm putting things in and out. It's really nice because succulents are very easy to transplant, and they do really well. So you can see the variety of succulents I have in here. Right here, little hens and chicks, these things go crazy. I have to be careful when I plant them because they will take over. They grow so fast and spread so much. But it's wonderful. And here, what you see is these little red aeonium. I'm looking forward to these things growing because, frankly, they're absolutely gorgeous. So this is how I start them. And you'll see right here, this is what it will look like when it's grown. Beautiful red plant. This one here is maybe about 4 years old. It keeps kind of moving forward. It's doing really well. And if you look down here, you'll see all these little babies. And I'm going to get ready to pot some of these up. I don't need that many, so let's see what we can do. The method to propagate these is super simple. Just take a cutting of the end of a plant, and what you want to do is you just need an inch or two of stem left on the cutting. You can see I'm starting with very small plants. I found one on the ground there. Already had some roots. And then I'm going to come in here, fill a pot with some dirt. This is just regular potting soil. And then strip off the leaves, the dead leaves. No big deal, and just put it right in the soil. My success rate on these is really high. I'm talking like 85 to 95%. So they're super simple to propagate, which means almost free plants. And the soil doesn't matter. They don't need rich soil, but I happen to use whatever I had in my wheelbarrow. Then I water it in really, really well. Aeonium are not desert-type plants. They do like moisture. They're more of a coastal plant, so think of it that way. And you can see where I'm putting these. This is going to get automatically watered every single day. It's with these other plants. They do really well there. And over here, this is what I call my aeonium forest. Take a look at some of these companion plants. I have spider plants, elephant ears. This is a very moist environment, kind of shady. But these aeonium all started the same exact way. Very small cuttings where I would cut off the end of a plant, put it in the soil, and very quickly it turns into a robust plant. Aeonium are wonderful. One of my favorite types of plants. In this section, I think I have about 12 to 16 plants. Maybe I started about 20. So the success rate is pretty high. Super simple to do. And you'll see back there, there's a Gollum jade. So another plant that likes the wet. So now I want to move from my shaded semi-tropical backyard to my front yard, which is a very, very different story. My house faces west, and the front yard gets blazing Sacramento sun. So the plants out here are very different. I want to start my porch tour with this pot of Echeveria I put together. This is from the last time I replanted my nursery, and I put this pot together. They're doing well, but my porch is extremely hot, so they've suffered a little bit. Once fall comes, I think they'll do great. That pot is right next to this jade plant here. This is a great jade plant. I've had this about 8 or 9 years maybe. I usually trim it up like a tree, but down at the bottom it just goes absolutely nuts, giving off more I don't know, more limbs, let's call them. So I trim those back and plant them all the time. Now going over here, I got this pot from a garage sale, and that to me is really awesome because somebody was moving. I bought this this pot, I think for $20. But look at the variety of plants that this came with the best being this fire stick. Okay, this plant is absolutely incredible. The best example of this fire stick I've ever seen in my life is at the Burbank airport. We have this ruffled Echeveria here that honestly is not doing well, but you'll see more of those on the tour. But just the sheer variety of plants in this pot. This one here, I don't know the name, beautiful purple flowers. Over on this side, I've got a Gollum jade. This has been one of my favorite plants for 7 or 8 years. But honestly, it's declining now, and I'm thinking about getting rid of it. I'm guessing that this pot here is just full of roots. This plant has looked much, much better throughout the years. So I'm going to call that one in decline. Now this is something I rarely do, but I bought a whole arranged pot from Home Depot. I did that because it was on sale. And once again, you can get maybe 7 or 8 different succulents in a pot and either just propagate them or pull them out and use them. So if you can get something like that on sale, that's wonderful. I always look for something unique in the pot. That one has Portulacaria, which frankly, I've got too much of that. Now, over here, this little section does not get watered at all automatically. And this Senecio that's here, this thing is usually awesome. But right now, it's July 30th. It's been hot and dry, super hot, like 105 hot. And so the Senecio is suffering. This is the low point for that plant, but later on in the year, it'll be fantastic. We have another Gollum jade, another Portulacaria. Same thing though, they're all suffering from the heat. So that is pretty much my porch collection. I'm moving on to one of my border beds. I'm starting with this rippled jade. I've got quite a few of these and they do great. You can see that I need to cut off the dead flowers, but they're really good plants, low care. Now, this Gollum jade here, this is not one of my best Gollums. It doesn't do great in this bed, but it does okay. It does better than most plants do in this bed. You can see it's kind of yellow and it has some issues, but I'm working on it. Same thing with this Portulacaria. So basically this bed, it doesn't do well. Now, this is my biggest failure this year. This paddle plant looked absolutely gorgeous back in my plant nursery in spring. And I decided to put it out here, but I planted it at the wrong time, right at the beginning of summer, and it's suffering. So I'm hoping that if it makes it through the summer, this fall, it'll spring back to life. But what is doing great over here is this pot with this ruffled Echeveria and these other ones that I believe are called Mexican snowballs. They're doing great. I love those things. And this ruffled Echeveria is one of the few plants I have where I allow the flowers to stay, because look how nice and tall and beautiful those flowers are. But this pot's doing well. So this is one of my lawn border beds, and I've got a few there, the paddle plant, Portulacaria, the Gollum jade, and the ripple jade. Now we're looking at another bed that surrounds my lawn. This is in the front, And the biggest challenge here is just the absolute scorching heat in the summer. It can easily be 105, even 110 in the summer. And the succulents here have to be able to handle the sun, full afternoon sun, which they can. Some are burnt now, but that's okay. It's July 30th, and this is the worst of the year. So if they can survive up to this point, then they'll survive in the fall and the spring. They'll look beautiful. I like the colors here. I love this green and red. This one goes from a gray to kind of a peach and a rose. And this bed here, I started out just testing a few. And when they started to work, I was pretty happy. I got this agave from a neighbor, and it really started me on agave. So I have a few others. This blue glow here is incredible, but it's got these weeds and I just can't get rid of them. So I might actually take that out and put it in a pot so I can control the weeds better. So these are succulents that can handle full sun on a 105-degree day without any trouble. Right here are the parents of the agave that I first started with. It was really cool. The people that used to live here that planted these used to have plant sales, just like lemonade stands out on the corner. And they'd pot these up. And I came by and I bought some a few years ago. And that's what I have, and that's what started it. I love this dark green and yellow. I think mine came from this more muted, faded green. But this is where I started my agave from, one of the people in the neighborhood. Finally, I have this box here that is really cool. Once again, this is also in full sun, except this aeonium, it's protected by this ripple jade. And you have a few others here. But these two jades, they get full sun. And right here, these are doing well. Actually, I have a small mealybug problem here. Happens every year. I'm not worried about it. Back here, where you see some of these smaller ones that are kind of burnt, I had to replace this year because actually it looked more like this, but it got overgrown. And there are some other things here, but this is, like I said, July 30th, and it's really tough on these succulents. And of course, we have our kitty. Hi, Marshmallow. Hi, kitty. Here we have another ruffled Echeveria in the front yard. And these things actually do really well in full scorching hot sun. I just planted this one this past year. It'll get huge. And that's doing well. But the cat that came over, Marshmallow, just so you know, that's the kind of thing that Marshmallow does when I tried to pet her. Thanks, Marshmallow. But the plants are doing well, including another one of these great agave. This one's far more yellow than the other one. Bright yellow. I love that thing. One of my favorite plants right now is this cool ruffled Echeveria. It's pretty big. I've had it for about 2 years, maybe been in this pot for 1.5 years. It's just a really cool plant. And the amount of care I give it is essentially zilch. And full sun again. You can see it's getting ready to flower, I believe. But really nice plant, beautiful to look at. I've moved the pot around a couple times, but just super healthy, super neat and interesting. Ruffled Echeveria do fantastic in full sun. I do have a plan to expand some of my agave here. I'm going to take out this Cape Plumbago. It's the bush with the blue flowers. And under this window in my front yard, I'm just going to put a lot of agave. These things have deadly spikes. Nobody's going to come into that window over there. And I think it'll look nice and clean, go with the rest of the yard and the succulents. So that's a project that maybe I'm going to do this winter. Pulling these plants out is going to be difficult, but I think it's time. So a little succulent and agave expansion. I think that'll look nice. And that's a tour of some of my succulents. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching the video.